Hello, everyone. This is episode number 8 for Creative Love Radio. What's the title? What are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about how do you know if he or she is the one?
Ooh.
The philosophical question.
Is this my soulmate or is this my faux-mate?
It's an important question, so let's get going.
All right. Welcome to Creative Love Radio with Debbie and Dr. Rob. We are redefining relationships to guide you to greater love, more success, and living your purpose through the latest research in neuroscience, Jungian psychology, and Eastern wisdom. Get ready for another inspirational episode of Creative Love Radio. Okay, juicy topic today.
That's right.
Episode 8, is she or he the one for me?
Yes.
Are you the one for me, Rob?
Yeah, a lot of people ask us this question. How do I know if it's love and if he or she is the one? And it's such a loaded question, first of all, because there's a lot of angles that we can approach this question with or from. But certainly we want to qualify some of our perspectives. Mm-hmm. Because in that question, right, there's some implications already. There's some assumptions. First of all, that there is one.
Yeah, that's true. And what's happening in our mind and our heart when we meet someone that we're attracted to?
Right.
Is it really love or is it just our old patterns playing out? And of course, we're going to talk a little bit about psychology and we're going to talk about a little bit about mindset and what it means to fall in love. And really, there's more than one level of love. It's not just infatuation. I mean, we want to eventually, if they're the one, we do want to marry them and spend every day with them and live with them.
Right.
Hopefully.
So we're going to have to continue the topic and the discussion, but let's get started. First of all, with the spark, let's say, the chemistry.
Yeah. When we talk about conscious chemistry, that's a term that we came up with, that if you know who you are, you really know who you're supposed to match up with. But if you don't know who you are, you're just basically having this emotional turmoil happening inside of you, the butterflies, and you think that other person is basically the one because you're projecting all this mindset on them.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly from a Jungian perspective, you would have the persona being attracted to a certain type of person that fits the persona or your persona's aspirations.
So the persona really is your superficial self, like your age, your looks, your height,
absolutely,
your body type, your personality, that type. How you match up on Match.com.
Yeah, not to say that's not important.
Yeah,
obviously that's how we're present to each other. So really important parts. But we understand that there are deeper elements, especially in real, that deep, soulful love. It's not just about, does this person look good next to me, right? And are my parents going to like them and accept them? But there's a deeper connection that has to occur here. And it starts with the chemistry, but, you know, we can think of the chemistry is like that little pilot in the stove that clicks and lights up the fire. But the click itself is not the fire, right? The click is there to ignite something. And then that something, that deeper love, that deeper connection is what is real love. And a lot of people mistake that. They think if there's that little click, that little spark, that means it's love.
And so when we're having unconscious chemistry, if you don't know who you are beyond that personality, that persona, if you don't really know in your soul who you are, like your deeper self, you're going to basically feel that chemistry, those feelings toward whatever your relationship patterns are. Psychologically programmed early in life, you're going to feel that, ooh. And if you look at it, how many times have you had those flirty, I call it the flirty feelings? How many times have you had that with someone who is completely wrong for you? you're like, I want someone who is successful, and I want someone who's going to be committed to me. And you have those feelings to someone that's completely the opposite, where you have, they're kind of losing their job, or they're struggling, with money financially, and you're just like, this is not what I pictured. And even they just don't want to stay committed. So why do we have these feelings for people that are wrong for us? And so how do we know? And then I think a lot of people think, well, I have these feelings, so they must be the one. So they try to make it work. They're trying to make that person be committed to them, or they chase them down and they obsess over them. So, and they all say it's love.
Right. So it's more a question of how well do you know yourself?
Yes.
And how in tune are you to who you are at the deeper level, besides the personality, the persona, the masks that we wear. And to the extent that you're in touch with that deeper self in you, who you really are, then you'll experience that deeper love with people. And there's not necessarily one from that perspective, but there are people that will match that resonance. And I love the word resonance, because it comes from music. It means that if you pluck the string of one guitar, another guitar in the room will vibrate that same note automatically, just by being present.
Yes.
And that's resonance right there. So when we experience love in the deeper sense, whoever resonates with that will be attracted to you.
But if we're not aware of who we are, and we're still operating on our old patterns, we're going to resonate with people that mirror or reflect
that insecurity,
the insecurities. And we talked in another episode about our attachment styles. And you're not aware of them, like how you've been programmed to connect with everyone. So, and then when you become aware, and of course this isn't something that happens overnight, it's about you understanding yourself, understanding your fears, understanding why you are attracted to certain people. What are you afraid of in relationships? You have to ask yourself all those questions. The more self-aware you become, the more clear you'll be on how to answer the question, is this the one for me, or is this someone that's just my old pattern again? And a lot of times, when you're going through self-development, a lot of our clients have gone through our work. They're like, okay, I met someone, but I'm afraid it's the old pattern. I'm not sure. And the only way to know is to go into the relationship. Like if you feel compelled to go in, because either you're going to get more clear on who you are, or you're going to have that relationship, and not to be afraid of connecting and exploring relationships. So I think a lot of people, especially when you're on a time limit, like I was 40 and I was like, I need to find a man tomorrow. My clock is ticking. And so we have that urgency to find love, that sometimes we don't have patience with exploring the people that are showing up for us and seeing what they're showing about ourselves. And Carl Jung has that great quote, meeting of two personalities is I can't remember the quote now.
Well, it's all right. It's all right to paraphrase.
Yeah.
So what was he saying?
It creates any reaction will create a transformation.
That's right.
So it's like a spark that creates, so that pilot light that goes on before the flame. If you have that with someone, that means there's something there for you, and for you to be self-aware, not to jump into a relationship with them, but there's something here reflective here, right?
Yeah, so it's almost like our conditioning, our past conditioning, which we carry around with us, is like a bubble that protects us, like a shell. Mm-hmm. And if we believe we are that shell, we identify with our persona, our mask, our shell, then we're always kind of looking on the surface only. Mm-hmm. And so we might find people that match up with us, and it looks good on paper.
Compatible.
Like
right?
Yeah, and we take good photos together. Good
selfies.
Yeah. And it looks good, but at the deeper part of our heart, our psyche, there's no real connection. There's no real love, right? So we have to peel away those layers of conditioning, and that's what personal development is really about, or the good stuff and the good personal development. It's about getting at who am I beyond my persona, right? Mm-hmm. Beyond the car I drive and the work I do and the personality, my hairstyle, all that good stuff. Not that those things aren't important.
Hairstyle is very important.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. But we want to get at that deeper heart in us. And the more you do that, the more you're able to do that. Now, this is incredible, right? That love itself, that is relating to people, itself peels away those defenses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like when you fall in that recklessness, like you talk about falling in love. The idea of falling in love is like the ego that's protecting that persona, the conditioning around us, almost like takes a back seat for a moment, because we kind of get a little almost chaotic and restless and reckless and going towards someone, giving up. I mean, think about it. It's a complete stranger that you have no history with, really, usually. Sometimes you might know them through friends or whatever, but you're the completely new person that you've never been around, and you're going to get fully naked and intimate with this person that you jump right in.
Hot tub.
Yeah. It's like emotionally naked physically with this stranger. So what would compel us to do that? We wouldn't do that with our best friends sometimes.
Well, what compels us is nature itself, right? There's an inborn desire to merge, the urge to merge. But if we just go on the biological level, we usually get into trouble, right? Because biology is not all there is to being human. You know, it's an important piece, obviously. We have to take it into account, and we have to kind of come to terms with it in a sense. But at let's say the emotional level, which is what really maintains a long-term relationship, most people aren't really prepared, and they're not given any instructions.
Yeah. Well, usually the instructions they received were from how their parents related.
Right.
Or how their parents related to them, like that intimate, how the siblings and, friendships over time. We've had relationships before. So if you look at your pattern in relationships, not only in childhood, but all relationships, how are you with your boss? Do you ask for a raise? Do you hide? Do you complain about other people? Are you powerful? Do you feel insecure? All those things are going to show up in a relationship.
Yeah. And so these are the instructions, basically.
Ooh, basic instructions before leaving Earth.
Before leaving your house to go out on a date. You have to know thyself, like Socrates said. Above all, know thyself. Because most of us are focused outward, right? We're thinking about what can that other person give me? And finding kind of a suitable person out there that's got all the qualities that we're looking for, right? People make a list and those kind of things, and they say, this is what I want. And there's nothing wrong with that. But we want to first think about, what can I offer?
Yeah.
How open am I to express and receive love? And those are difficult questions, right? Because we're getting at, okay, what did I learn from my parents? What am I inclined to reveal about myself naturally with friends, on dates, with lovers, etc.? And most of us have never really thought about those questions in a deeper sense, right? We kind of have an idea in general, but we've never really taken stock and kind of examine what is underneath all those assumptions about how I see love and how I see a viable partner for me.
A lot of people think that, and I know I did when I was single, is what am I going to get? How can I find this person to give me security, to give me worthiness, to give me this sense of belonging? I was looking for that other person for that. And right before I met you, I started doing a different type of processing inside myself. I started really because I left my corporate job and I was a hypnotherapist, and I thought, I'm an interesting person. I've done some daring things, and I started really kind of feeling like I had something to offer too, and I'm a deep person, and I was like, there must be someone out there that wants to connect on a deeper level. And when I was ready to think I have something to offer, and then I started thinking about how happy my partner would be when they met me versus how happy I'm going to be when that person comes in to rescue me. And it's almost like there's someone else that wants to be rescued too. Like we could rescue each other in a way. So it was really, I started to think that and hold that feeling. And it started to change because it started being about more I want to give. And when I was dating at that point, when I set the intention to meet, when I met you, I just set the intention of, I just want to meet people and I want to, have deep conversations, and more like I have something to talk about. I have something interesting about me, and then you were the first person to show up. It was like, of course I found someone interesting to share. And I think we have to remember that who we are is right. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing to be healed. Whatever happened in your childhood or in your past, no matter what you did wrong or mistakes you made, you're still valuable. And I think we just don't really understand that about ourselves a lot of times.
Right. I mean, the whole model or most models of personal development kind of focus on fixing that exterior and making that exterior better.
So you can look good for the...
Yeah, shine it up and polish it up and you'll be fine, you're on your way. But really, personal development should be more about identifying with that deeper self in you, the true self, what Jung calls the self, instead of our persona, our personality, our exterior, our identity as individuals out there in the world. When we're able to do that, then we can be genuine, right, in relationships. When you're coming from the surface, no matter how polished it is and how great and positive and beautiful the appearance is, those things are going to change. We know that the nature of our life is change. It's the only constant in life, that this is not going to last as it is right now. It's going to change, maybe for the better, maybe for the worse, right? But it's going to change. And so when we depend on that external identity and then it changes, that's when people talk about, oh, I fell out of love. I'm not in love anymore. Yeah. I love the person, but I'm not in love with them, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, it comes from that need for that, like you said, that other person. You don't find that groundedness within yourself, and you're looking for that other person to give you something. Like you're anchoring externally into not only yourself on an external level, but also using that love, that person is going to come rescue me kind of idea. I think it's almost like that romantic delusion that this person's going to come make my life better, on the surface. And it's a very insecure place to be because, like you said, it will change. They're not going to always call when you want them to. They're not going to put the toothpaste top on, or there's going to be things that show up in a relationship that it needs a little more groundedness and a little more kind of you need to have your own sense of self before you can give into another person, to have that intimacy. That shell you talked about, like the bubble that we put ourselves in. So that's what you're saying, is that we need to find our own groundedness within that, so we're able to let go of the shield. We're able to let down that guard. Is that what you're saying? Right,
and change is more than behavior, right? People are naturally maturing, and those stages of life that we move through involve often complete turnarounds from the way we perceive and act in the world when we're young to when we're in our mid-30s and 40s. we change. We see the world in a completely different way. It's not we're not even the same person anymore.
And that's actually very interesting that you said that, because a lot of people, when they're deciding if someone is the one, they're deciding based on that personality. Like, my personality is this way, and what if I change? I think that's the big question: is what if I evolve and change, and my persona changes, and their persona doesn't match up with me anymore, right? I now become an entrepreneur, or I'm making more money now, or I'm, changing the way my appearance. Those things, if you are basing a relationship on that ego surface, you will fall out of love because they won't be the one, because that's really that. How can you make a lifetime commitment to something that is so changing? So it's about understanding, again, who you are on a deep level. So what does that mean, a deep level, for people that aren't used to even doing spiritual work? Or, what does that mean? Is it the soul? Is it the
well, there's a
spirit?
I know. Jung talks about a simple definition, because they asked him this question, what do you mean by the self? Isn't our consciousness, our ego mind, ourself? Mm-hmm. And he says, the self, the totality of the self, is the totality of your psyche, meaning your conscious part, including your ego, your memory, your history, plus everything that you don't know about yourself, which mm-hmm. includes the unconscious mind. All right? So that the wholeness of that's the self.
But people will confuse that with their personal unconscious. So we should the unconscious.
Well,
and
tell us about the collective unconscious.
So a lot of people are like, well, I my personal and my unconscious, but really it's more than that. And I think it's the connecting with the collective. Jung thought of the unconscious as not only the personal and our programming and the shadow, but also this collective where we're actually connected to everything. And science is now verifying this. We know a lot of spiritual work talks about we have this unlimited part of ourselves. So here's the thing, though. How do you know? Because our mind is only seeing our personality, right? We can only see that part. This other part is really the unseen. So how do you really connect with that? And basically, because of duality, we know what we are, what we're not. We know that everything about the ego and the conditioning and the fear. So what really, it's like hard to grasp, but it's a knowing. It's almost like a innate, deep. It's in those times when we have that intuitive hit. That's the true self. It's that where we just kind of have a knowing, and there's no like outside evidence that it's going to play out the way it does. And when you meet someone, then when you really fall in love, and they are the one, it feels different. It doesn't feel like your old programming again, your old tricks. It feels like I like that idea, the numinous quality, right? It's Jung came up with this term, numinous, and it kind of has like when you see like an idol, like if you are Catholic and you go to church and you see Jesus or you see Mary, she or he, they kind of have this numinous quality, this like really kind of a divine essence. Any type of religion you go to, they're, holy books, they have a numinous quality. Like there's something very like otherworldly about it. And that we all have that within us. And so that's really what we're talking about. Yeah. Numinosity.
Well, you're getting deep there.
I know.
But yeah, absolutely. So what we mean and what Jung meant by really going into the self or being the higher self is that you already are that, right? Mm-hmm. We already are our complete self, let's say, but we're identifying only with a small fraction of our psyche, which is the ego and the persona. And so that's the mistake right there. That's kind of the illusion that we create for ourselves, is that we believe I'm only this body, I'm only this persona, this ego. And so it's a very limited way of experiencing ourselves. Personal development in its true form and love in itself is calling us to go deeper into our psyche And
that's the purpose.
Yeah, and to experience the complete self.
So the relationship, you know if they're the one, if they're not rescuing you, if it's not just to soothe your ego, right? The one, really, the true one, is someone that you come together with, that you create more with. That it becomes more of a creative function and a growth function where you come together to become more of your true self. That really is the definition of finding the one.
Right.
And so that's the question is this love, or is this just my ego wanting to feel safe, wanting to feel accepted, wanting to feel worthy with this person? And you know, if there's a hiccup in the relationship when you first meet and you're a little nervous that they don't call and your ego kicks in, it's like your ego's wrapped up in this relationship. Not that they're not the one, but you just kind of have to know that that's just me trying to feel important or trying to feel it's like a survival feeling. When you feel that true love, it doesn't feel like they're going to take anything from you or that they're giving anything to you. It's more like they are you. And when I met you and we started dating, there was like a solid kind of connection I felt that was unshakable. And I couldn't describe it except for that I still had fears and, my old patterns of, is this going to work out? Because every other relationship didn't work out. So my ego would still question things and myself, but there was some other piece that I never had before with someone. So that's the long answer to how do you know? And so do you have anything else to say before we end the call? I mean, it's really, we could have to talk about this more because it's such a deep topic.
Right. Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, the bottom line is it depends on how much you know yourself.
Yes.
Right? The true self in you. So if you're asking the question, how do I know if he or she is the one? Look in the mirror and ask yourself,
am I the one?
No, am I coming at this from the ego, like you were saying, from that defensiveness, or I need to appear better and kind of from that very personal ego persona history? Or am I really coming from understanding that deeper self in me and this person is resonating? They're seeing that in me, and therefore that's why they're attracted to me and I'm attracted to them. And if the answer is that latter, right, that deeper self, then by all means go forward.
Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people will say, well, I haven't found that person. I'm finding maybe people that are non-committal or maybe needy or whatever's showing up, the type of pattern. Either they're clingy or they're not. Those are reflective of your own mind. So it's not like, I got to go find the one. It's about when you really connect with your true self, the one will appear. So whoever's showing up right now is just reflecting your mind. They're the one for the moment because they're showing you what you need to know about yourself. And if you can take that as an opportunity to be self-reflective, why do I keep getting unavailable people? What is the benefit? Why am I being drawn to those people, attracted to these people? Let me go and examine that. That is really where you're going to go deeper in yourself. And you know what I love, Rob? I want to end with your beautiful quote that you said. If you want to find your soulmate, you must first know your own soul. Mm-hmm. I love that. And it really is. It's like if you want a superficial relationship and you want to just find someone because you want to have babies and you want to not be alone anymore and all that, you could have that. You can have that and make that the one, but it's not one in the true sense. And your patterns that have created all the anxiety in relationships in the past and the drama is just going to continue. Nothing's going to change because you found someone. You're just going to replay the pattern and it's probably going to burn itself out again.
Right.
So take the time to know yourself so you can make that decision. This is the most important decision you have to make in your life. This is even more important than finding a career. This is like the person you're going to share your life with. And so you should really invest the time into to really discovering yourself, and it's going to change everything in your life.
Yeah. And I think it leads into the broader discussion as to how does falling in love then transform us into that self, into that higher self?
Ooh, that might be another episode. Yeah, this is great. Well, we just want to thank you for joining our podcast, all the subscribers, all the responses we've been getting. If you can, leave us a review because that helps us with the rankings, helps get the word out. We also have some great content on our website. If you want to go to debbieandrob.com or creativelove.com, both will take you there. Join us on our Creative Love Gurus Facebook page. And also, we are having our live event in October. So if you're interested, we're doing one in California, LA area, and we're doing one in London and the UK. Find out more about that. And we would hope to see you soon in person. And keep listening. We're going to keep sharing some great info on love and relationships. And also let us know if there's anything you want us to talk about. If there's a topic, you have a question, we'll be glad to answer it. We're really excited. We're going to do this show every week.
That's right. We'll see you soon. Much love.
Take care, everyone. You've been listening to Creative Love Radio with Debbie and Dr. Rob. For more information, visit us on our website at creativelove.com. You've been listening to Creative Love Radio with Debbie and Dr. Rob. For more information, visit us on our website at creativelove.com.